Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. I hope everybody is having a wonderful Tuesday. You guys, it's going to be a fun one today. I can already tell, which is good because I needed a good day, right? So my good day fairies have arrived and have definitely brought the fun today. Hi, Miss Shayla. Hi, Suzanne. Hey, somebody's me. I bet that's Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Katie. How are you? Hi, everybody. Hi, Jan. Happy afternoon to you, too. Everybody having a good week so far? I got to be honest with you, my yesterday was not too great, but I'm feeling much better today. Hi, Nicole. How are you? Nicole, are you having a better day today? You were not having such a good day yesterday either. We were kind of bouncing around on the same wavelength yesterday. I just got to say, I'm happy that Tuesdays are Tuesdays. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't do a live on Monday. I just couldn't. Hi, Cynthia, Kathleen, Robin. It's good to see you guys. So, before we get started with today's project, I want to go ahead and be just completely honest with you guys. Joni and Chachi are in the house today. Oh, yeah. So, Kathleen and Joan, I'm sorry, not Kathleen and Joan. Oh my gosh, Colleen and Joan are in the house, and they have been dubbed Joni and Chachi. So from now on, you guys, that's Joni and Chachi, and they are here. And they are working diligently over here to the side. And I got to tell you, this must be what it feels like to be like semi-famous. Like, you know, because like Colleen brought me, she said she's the bartender. She got me my drink. And then Joan brought me chocolate. She's throwing chocolate at me at the moment. These are the roadies that I would want.
I'm throwing you kisses.
She's throwing kisses at me. Oh, goodness. So, needless to say, it's going to be an entertaining show today. I have a feeling because these two just cannot seem to control themselves. So, all right. So, today we have a really fun earrings project for you guys. I hope that you guys are in the mood for some dangles because I got lots of dangles today. Those are my favorite things. You guys know, those of you who've been with me for a while know that I love dangle earrings. Let me show them to you so you can see kind of where we're going just in case you didn't see the event that was posted. So, these are the earrings that we're going to create. And we're not actually doing anything that we've never done before. A lot of these techniques we've done previously, but they never go out of style, at least as far as I'm concerned. They don't ever go out of style. And these earrings are fantastic. They are a little big, so for those of you who don't like super large earrings, you're going to be able to make these a little bit smaller, or you can turn them into a pendant, but I think they're fabulous. So I'm looking forward to showing these to you guys because they're super easy. Excuse me. So before we get started with everything, though, let's kind of do a rundown of what to expect this week. So today is our regular scheduled live, right? Later this afternoon at 4 p.m. I will have a live with the Hardwired group. So anybody who is part of the Hardwired group, be looking forward to that. I've got a fun project scheduled for you guys as well. Tomorrow, I normally don't do anything on Wednesdays, except that my Michael's classes tend to alternate between Wednesdays and Saturdays. So tomorrow I have a Michael's class at 2 p.m. And I hope that you can be there, right? Joan posts in the group and...
I didn't know that one.
Oh, she forgot. She didn't post it. But we'll make sure that the link is there for the Michael's class. Otherwise, you can go straight to the Michael's website and just pull the drop-down menu that says classes, and you can sign up for all the classes. They're free. And jewelry classes are not the only classes that they have. They have painting and drawing and all kinds of really cool things. So if you've not checked out those 3 classes, they're really, really cool. Free classes. Is that what I said? I think I said 3. Anyway, let's see, what else? So Thursday will be our regular program. Everything's just going to kind of go along as usual this week, guys. I'm feeling much, much better. Still have a little bit of congestion going on, but I am pretty much back to 100%. And the only weird thing is just that addition of the Michael's class. So, yes. Is that Colleen panting really hard?
No, Wanda.
She says, no, Wanda.
I didn't even know. I have to ask who said that.
She knew it was you. That's too funny. All right, so for today's project, we're going to be using the Artistic Wire mandrel tool. This is one of my favorites. You're also going to need your block, your nylon hammer or a rubber hammer, and I'm also using the small bell making pliers. If you do not have the small bell making pliers, you can use the stepped bell making pliers, or you can use your round nose pliers. You just want to maybe mark those with a permanent marker so that your loops are consistent, okay? Because we're making a lot of loops today. All right, so enough of that. Let's get down to business, shall we? Nicole says, reprimand Joan on the live and use her as an example. It's too funny. Too funny. All right, guys, let's get down to business here. Okay. So, let me show you the earrings up close and personal, and then we can get started so you can kind of see where we're going and how we're going to get there, okay? So, we're going to make this component right here, this outer component, using the Artistic Wire mandrel tool. And we're going to be using some 18 gauge wire to create it. Then we are going to use some 24 gauge wire to create the wraps and all of our little loops here. And then, of course, you know I have to have dangles on my project. So got lots of dangles here and a drop bead. And the drop bead that I'm using for this project actually turned out to be a little bit small for this design. I could have gone with a bead that was just a little bit bigger. But if you're going to go with a smaller design, you definitely want to go with a smaller drop as well. So make your adjustments not just in the size of your component, but in the size of your beads as well, okay? All right, so what do you need to get started? You're just going to need 4 inches of 18 gauge wire, okay? Cooper is trying to steal my Kleenex. You can just go ahead and take that. That's fine. Okay. So, still have Kleenexes all over the place. All right, so I'm going to use the small... Oh my, I'm going to use... Turn the volume down. Oh my gosh, Colleen. Okay, I can hear myself. That was really strange. So I'm going to use the small portion of the small bell making pliers, right? So out of the two, I'm going to use the smaller one. My piece of 18 gauge wire is about 4 inches long. I'm just going to grab that right at the tip and I'm going to turn a loop. And we're not going to break the neck on it. We're not going to straighten up that wire and center it with our loop. We're going to leave it just like it is. And I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other end. Just grabbing the wire and creating a little loop, okay? Now, if your loops are not facing the same direction, you can adjust them, you know, just give them a little twist with your fingers or come in with your pliers and twist them as well. Okay, now we're going to use, excuse me, we're going to use the mandrel tool. If you don't have one of these mandrel tools, just find something that's round, okay? In fact, it doesn't even have to be a certain millimeter. And the reason I say that is because I'm actually going to use 3 of these little sections here to get the shape that I want. I'm going to start out not on the biggest, but the second to largest. I'm going to put my wire down in the center and hold it with my thumb. And then I'm going to grab those 2 loops and kind of pull to curve it around, okay? And then I'm going to take it off of that one and I'm going to move up to the next, and then I may even go up to the next one. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that kind of teardrop shape. And in order to do that, I want to start kind of with a larger mandrel and then just kind of work my way around, okay? And that's going to help to get that teardrop shape instead of a perfect circle, right? Now, one thing you're going to notice is that the loops here are facing towards the inside. Cooper, get down. So Cooper's trying to sit in Joan's lap. Okay, so your loops may be facing the wrong way. That's okay. We're going to adjust all of that here in just a second. So I'm going to just take it off and take a look at what we've got so far. And you can see the loops are not in the right place. I'm going to grab some pliers here. All right, so I'm just going to grab my pliers and very carefully, I'm going to hold on to one of the loops and twist it so that it's going out. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Okay, just going to hold it and give it a twist. Now, in doing that, if you mess up the shape of your component, You can bring your 2 loops together, or you can put it back on the mandrel if you need to, okay? All right, and I just kind of push the 2 loops together, and that'll help bring it back into the shape that you want, okay? And if you want a different shape, if you want it to be open a little bit more, you can pull it apart, whatever. Just don't work hard in it until you're comfortable with the shape that you've created, okay? All right, so now we are gonna work hard in this. We're gonna put this on. We're going to put this on the block, and I'm going to use my nylon hammer to work harden. Excuse me. So I'm just going to tap it. Don't use a metal hammer unless you want to flatten. That's why I'm using the nylon hammer. I don't want to change the shape of that round wire. I want it to stay nice and round. Okay, and I'm going to do both sides. And then you just want to check it. That's pretty sturdy. If you feel like it needs a little bit more, there's no reason why you can't. Excuse me. Okay, so now that you have it work hardened, we are going to start with our drop bead. Okay, so the drop bead, I want it to fit. Let me show you from the sample. I want it to fit pretty snug right there between the 2 loops on our component. So if your component is a little bit bigger than your drops, mine's pretty close, you'll be able to pull that in nice and tight, a little bit closer with your wire when you get started. So you're going to need a 24-inch piece of 24 gauge wire. If you want to use 26 gauge wire, you absolutely can, but I will tell you in advance, it will take way more wire, right? Because it's smaller. So I'm going to take the tail end of my piece, and over here on the left side, I'm going to lay my wire on the component or across the top of the component, and then I'm going to bend it, and I'm going to wire wrap just, 2 times. That'll be plenty, okay? The long end of the wire is coming out here towards my right. I'm going to slide these wraps right up here next to the loop. Okay. Take that tail to the back and hold on to it. I'm not going to cut that off just yet. I'm going to leave that until we get to the very end of all of the wrapping that we're going to do. Now I'm going to thread on our bead. My bead is drilled side to side up here at the top. Okay, if you've got a bead that's drilled top to bottom, you're gonna have to make some adjustments here. You can just put a jump ring on it, and then you can still thread it on the wire, but you may want to put some beads on either side of it to close up the space. Okay, so put this back up here where it goes. Slide the bead in, right? And now I'm going to take that wire over to the other side, and now I'm going to close up that space by pulling the 2 together. Right? So take the wire, and when I do that very first wire wrap, that's when I'm going to pull it close. Okay. Now, if I want my loop to be a little bit wider or fatter, I can squish from top to bottom. Okay. And that's going to open it up just a little bit. It was a little too narrow. Okay. Now I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to start wire wrapping. I'm going to wire wrap down to pretty close to the bottom of the bead, maybe right before the bottom of the bead. Okay, so I'm just going to wrap around the component and just fill up that space with wire wraps. So I'm coming through the center of the component and wrapping to the outside. Now, if your wires are not nice and tight, you can always come in with your pliers and give them a little squeeze, okay, to tighten those up. Okay, now I'm going to keep going. And your 24 inches of 24 gauge wire is going to get you all the way around. Hi, Mary. Uh-oh, Dee says she's having problems with the video stopping and starting. That's not good. Wanda says, how could you do this if you want your drop bead centered in the big loop? I'm not sure what you mean. You want your drop beads? Oh, you want it to be, instead of it being up here at the top, you want it down here. So, I would, if that were what you wanted to do, okay, I would start with some wire wraps, maybe, I don't know. Actually, the first thing I would do would be, I would center my drop, right? Do the wire wraps over here. So you just want to start further down, right? You just want to start further down with your wire wraps, put your bead in here, centered up, and then fill in this space between those wraps that you started with more wraps. So just cut another little piece of wire and just fill in. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I've got a piece of paper I can show you if you want to see what I mean. So you've got, I'm not a great drawer, you guys, so just bear with me, right? All right, you've got your little component here. It looks like an eye and a little nose, a big nose. Anyway, you're going to, instead of putting your drop up here, start your wire wrap here, right? To center your bead within this space, right? You start your wire wraps and then just fill in right here and right here with another piece of wire. That is the worst drawing I've ever seen in my entire life. Let's give this guy a smile. That's terrible, but I hope you know what I mean. So yeah, all right. There's a reason I don't teach the art classes over on the Michaels. Oh wow, that was terrible. Okay, I'm gonna save that though. I'll take a picture of that for y'all later.
You autographed it for me?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna autograph that for you, Colleen. Oh yeah, I'll just stick to jewelry making, okay? All right. Lori says she followed it, so that's, at least I got my point across. All right, so just filling in here with the wire wraps, okay? And we're just working our way down to where we want to start our little loops. Let me show you. So, hi Janice. So our loops, we're going to start those. They start kind of right below the bottom of our bead, right? That's where our loops are going to start. But we're filling in this space here. All right. So just wrap it around some more. And again, if your wraps are not tight, come in with your pliers. You can use your fingernails as well. If you're like me, that's why my thumbnails are always broken, because I'm always pushing up against wire. If you work with wire, it's nearly impossible to have nicely manicured fingernails. That's just kind of the way it is. Oh, thank you. You like my pin? My friend Margaret made that for me. It says Bead Addict. Is that not cool? I love it. And it's in the floor. All right. Getting pretty close. Aw, Karen, you're so welcome. I gotta tell you guys, part of my happy mood today is because Joni and Chachi are here. And you can't be in a bad mood when Colleen and Joan are around. You just can't. You just can't.
Love you.
Aw, love you too.
You want me to throw you some more kisses?
No more kisses. I gotta eat the ones I've got first. Oh my goodness. See, Nicole understands. She says, I used to have long, beautiful nails until she started working with wire. It's just part of it, unfortunately. All right, so I'm going to take a look at this. I'm actually, since I already have an earring done, I'm going to hold it up next to this one just to kind of determine. I want them to be as close as possible. But now if this is your first one, right, you don't have another one to measure up against, then it doesn't really matter where you're going to stop. I think that's a pretty good. Let's go around one more time and then we'll start with our loops. Okay. Oh, whoa, hold on a second. I want to do a 3-row goddess bracelet. Have you done a video on the 3 rows? I have not. Do you have a picture that you can send me? Do you have like a, do you have one you can it doesn't have to be one you've made, just, you know, if you've just found one on the internet, send it to me so I can see it, because I'm very, very interested. I was actually thinking about doing another version of the Goddess Bracelet on Thursday. So, let me know what you found. All right. So when you've made your way around and you're ready to start your loops, you want to stop with your wire, you know, coming out away from the component. And we're going to bring the small bell making pliers back in again. Now, if you don't have these, just use your round nose pliers. But I really do want you to consider using a permanent marker to mark the spot on your round nose pliers so that your loops are consistently the same size, because they're tapered, right? So depending on where you start each time, they might be different. That's why I like the bell making pliers, because they are not tapered. So it doesn't matter where I grab the wire. So what I want to do is I want to grab the wire. I'm grabbing the component, right? I'm going to put you guys up just a little. It'll get a little dark, so I apologize for that, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm holding the component between the barrel of the pliers, okay, right up against the last wrap that I made. Now I'm going to guide that wire around the curve of that small mandrel, okay, and I'm taking the wire to the back of the component because it was coming from the front here. So I want to be sure that I'm staying with the same path of the wire. Don't go to the front If you're coming from behind and going up the front, you want to come to the back, right? So just follow the natural path of the wire. Don't make any changes. And then we're going to wrap while it's still on the tool. I'm going to wrap around 2 times. Okay. And then I'm going to wrap for the 3rd time. When I come up for that 3rd wrap, bring the wire straight out, and we're going to be ready for our next loop. So now I'm going to take it off of the tool, and we've got ourselves a little loop here, right? So now I'm just going to repeat that. I'm going to place the tool, or I'm sorry, the component into the tool, again, right up against the wraps. Don't put any extra space in there. Take the wire, guide it around the barrel of the tool, and then come to the back, because we're following the natural path of the wire, right? And then do your wraps. And again, I'm going to leave it on the tool while I do my wraps, and I'm making those wraps as close to the tool as possible. Don't add any extra spaces in there. You want it to be nice and tight. Okay, coming back up for 3 with my wraps, and I'm going to take it off of the tool. You might have to wiggle just a little bit. This group likes to wiggle, so no problems there. Okay, now we have 2 loops, and you can see they're consistent. They're consistent in size, they're consistent in spacing, right? I'm going to go and make another one. So we're going to make a total of 7 of these. So again, I'm holding right up against the wraps. Oh my gosh. Joan's wiggling her tushy in my direction. All right, I'm gonna wrap around. Again, the wraps are nice and close. I can't take you guys anywhere.
I can't have my space.
You guys are so funny. You're actually behaving really well. I'm glad. Thank you.
Ginger could have been here.
Oh gosh, yeah, Ginger would not be behaving. All right, taking it off the tool. We've got 3. Now this 4th one, this is going to be in the center, and I'm going to show you something in just a second. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do the 4th. So guide the wire around, coming to the back of the component, up through with our wire, and go slow with these. If you've never done these before, we've done them a few times with projects, but if this is the first time you've ever done these, go slow. Don't try to rush through these little loops. You'll get a feel for it, and then you're going to be putting these little loops on everything. All right, so up for 3. Now I'm going to take this off of the tool just a minute, and I want to take a look at it. I'm going to take it and turn it around the right direction so that I can see it. So what I want is I want that 4th loop that we made to be centered, right? I want it to be as close to center as possible. And if it's not, I can wiggle these just a little bit. You don't want to make any major movements, but you can wiggle just slightly and get it centered up so that it is directly underneath the bottom center of your bead, okay? I want that to be center because when we hang all of our dangles, I want there to be a definite center bead, okay? All right, so once you've got that in place, now we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna make 3 more of our loops, and then we're gonna fill in the rest of the space with our wire wraps. Okay, grabbing again with the bell making pliers, guide the wire around the bail making part of the tool. I don't know why I called it the bail. It's not what it is. And coming to the back and wrapping. And I really find that if I've got a good grip of the component in the tool, it helps me to make those wire wraps nice and tight. That's why I don't take it off the tool and then do the wire wraps. Yeah, wiggle. This group's all about the wiggle. Okay. Now we're going to do 2 more. So around the mandrel, up through the center. Just don't forget to follow the natural path of the wire. That's the biggest part of this. And if you don't, what ends up happening is when you go to fill in the rest of the space with your wire wraps, they're going the wrong direction. So we want to be sure that everything is consistently going the right direction. And I know that seems like a small thing to worry about, but I can tell when the wire wraps are going the wrong way. And it drives me crazy. Some of you it may not bother, but it does bother me. And it will cause me to take the whole thing apart and start over again. And I just don't want to do that today. So just make sure you're following the natural path, okay? All right, so 1 more loop. And we're wrapping around. So Sharon, the teardrop is 18 gauge wire and the wire I'm wrapping around with is 24 gauge. However, you can use a thicker gauge wire for the component if you want to. You don't have to use the 18 gauge wire. If you use the 18, make sure that you're work carding it. All right, so there are all my loops. I've got everything I need to hang all of my fun little dangles from, right? Now I'm just gonna fill in this space between here and the bead with the rest of my wire. So we just want it to match this side over here. So I'm just gonna start winding my wire around. You are so welcome. Okay. Catherine says she's the same way too. I assume she means that she doesn't like it when the wraps are going and she'll take it apart. I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. Like I can tell. Some people can't tell, or if they do, if they can tell, it just doesn't bother them. But I will take an entire piece apart and redo it if I make that kind of mistake, just because I guess I'm a perfectionist, or I'm just, I don't know. I don't know. They just lay a little bit differently, and so it kind of distorts the overall look of the piece if they're going in the wrong direction. Oh, Wanda's concentrating really hard. She's up to something. If she's being quiet, she's up to something. Could you guys imagine getting Wanda and Ginger in the same room?
I'd love it.
Oh my gosh, that'd be crazy. The world might actually explode if something like that happens. And it would probably be because of something devious they did. Gwen says, how do you figure out the length of wire wrap, or how much wire you need for a project like this? Well, the best answer for you guys is you let me do the project first and I figure out all the measurements for you so you don't have to. right? But the truth is, it really just kind of comes with trial and error. And I have found that 24 inches of 24 gauge wire surprisingly works for a lot of things. But not only does it work for a lot of things, it is a comfortable amount of wire to work with. Anything longer than 24 inches really just is very cumbersome and hard to maneuver. So regardless of whether I need more wire than the 24, I'll start with 24 inches and then add to it if I need to. If I need less than 24 inches, then I just have some leftover scraps that I can save and use for other things. I use them for my knotted head pins and things like that. But 24 inches is usually what I will cut just to get started if I'm unsure, just because it's not too much, but there's plenty. So really and truly, it just kind of comes with trial and error. And I wish that there was a magic formula that I could give you, but there's not. All right, so I've wrapped all the way up to meet. Sorry, I didn't realize I was so far out of the frame here. I'm going to move you guys down a little bit too to brighten things back up a little bit. Okay, so I've wrapped all the way up here to meet these wire wraps. Now you can see those wire wraps that I started, they're not super pretty, and that's going to drive me crazy. But I can come in with my pliers and kind of clean all of that up. It looks like I might have room for one more wire wrap in here. That helped to clean it up quite a bit. Just that one extra wire wrap. All right, so now I'm going to come to the back here and I'm going to trim off, remember the tail where we got started and what we have left over. So out of the 24 inches, you can see I have a substantial amount left that I can use for other things. I just stick it in the extra wire scraps bucket, wherever that happens to be. It's not actually a bucket, it's a plastic bag, but still, you know what I mean. All right, I'm gonna use my cutter tool, trim off. And I do want to run my finger across to make sure there's nothing sticking up. If there's anything sticking up, I'm going to come in with my pliers and just kind of coax it down and make it tidy. Okay, so here is our component so far, right? We've got our beautiful drop bead attached and we have all of our loops and we filled in the spaces with our wire wraps and it's fairly even for the most part. It's even enough that if you're wearing it, nobody's going to notice whether it's off a little bit. Let's see. To make it easier to wrap the 24 gauge wire around the base, could you wrap first and add the teardrop last? So you can do it that way if you want to. I, for whatever reason, found I did it both ways when I was starting this project out. And for whatever reason, I found it easier to attach the bead first. I don't know. I think it was because I had that wire anchored here coming through the bead. It was just really, really sturdy. So it made it easier for me to do these wire wraps, but really you can do it either way. Whatever you're more comfortable with. There's no right or wrong with this, but that's a great question. So thank you for that one. Jody says, will this kit be available on Etsy? Unfortunately, it will not be. I only have kits on Fridays, and usually the kits are things that I have enough of. I don't have enough of all of these materials to make these kits. They would be cool kits, though. What size bail loop? That's a good question, too. So the small bail making pliers, we're using the small bail here, or the small mandrel, and it makes a 3mm loop. And it's really actually close to a 4 when you add the size of the wire to it. It makes a 4mm loop. Let's see if there's any more questions before I keep going. It's just thanks, you did the hard. You're welcome. The loops at the bottom are not distributed evenly. One side is clearly higher than the other. Well, thank you for noticing. And they look pretty close to me. Yeah, these two might be a little off, but like I said, it's not It's not noticeable. When we add the beads to it, you're not going to notice. But thank you for pointing it out. Okay, so now we're going to add our beads to this. And you'll see when you add the beads, it takes the visual away from the fact that maybe one of these loops is a little bit higher than the other. So I'm going to wire wrap mine directly to the loops. You can use jump rings if you want to do your attaching here if it's easier for you, but I just wire wrapped mine directly to it. Alrighty, so I'm going to use some ball head pins. You can use regular head pins, or if you want to, you can use, knotted head pins. I'm sorry, got sidetracked there. All right, so I'm actually going to lay these out in the order that I want them, because this kind of brick red one, I want that to be in the center. So I'm gonna position these the way I want them. And this guy's gonna go at the top. So I'm gonna move him to the side for just a second. All right, so that's the order. I know, I gotta make the order first. All right, so I'm gonna thread one of these on to a head pin. Okay, I'm gonna come in with my chain nose pliers. I'm grabbing that wire. Okay, and I'm gonna bend the wire over the top of the chain nose pliers. That's doing all of the measuring for me. Okay, so I don't have to guess. I don't have to do any of the extra measuring there. That space is perfectly spaced for me to come in with my round nose pliers and place them, or place the wire so that is running between the barrel of the pliers. Okay, now I'm going to take the wire up and over the top barrel, and I got to roll the pliers to get that bottom barrel up to the top here. Now I can take the wire all the way over to the other side to close up our loop, right? And when I take it off of the tool, that's what we've got. Now I still have all that space there. That's the perfect amount of space for my wire wraps. But before I do the wire wrapping, I want to take the tail end of that and I'm going to stick it through one of the little loops here, and then I'm just going to very gently slide the two of those together. Okay, so that they are connected. The size of my beads, I believe these are 6 millimeter, but let me tell you for sure. I don't think I've said, so my apologies for that. Yep, these are 6 millimeter beads. Okay, all right. Now, this is where I love to use my bent chain nose pliers for this. So I'll come in with my bent chain nose pliers and grab that loop that I just made, and I can switch hands, right? And now that the tip of the pliers is not in the way, right? And I can then do my wire wraps. And I've got enough room for about 4 because the wire or the head pins that I'm using here are very thin gauge, where I usually only can make about 3, but there's room for 4 here. Okay. And, whoops. I'm going to come in with my cutter tool and trim off. Hold on, there's a question. Karen says two smallest on the 6 looper are 2.5 and 3.5, which is the best? That's a good question. So I would probably go with the 3.5, just because that's going to get you a little bit closer to the 4 with the addition of the wire. But yeah, you're right. They are a little bit off. They're not exactly the same size as these. I noticed that too. And I don't know why they made them that way. I think they should have made them consistent, but they probably did that, you know, so that we would buy all the tools. I think that was their reasoning, so that we had to have them all, right? All right, so threading on another one, and I'm going to go through all of these the exact same way. We're going to do all 7 of our beads. Okay, so you get to see the wire wrapping a lot, giving the wire a bend. Okay, coming in, round nose pliers again, up and over. Gonna rotate, whoops, take the wire over to the other side, and I'm going to take it off because remember, we want to wrap this directly to the component, the little loop. So just pop that together. Okay, and I'm going to come in again with my bent chain nose pliers, and I'm going to, grab the wire and wrap. And if they are a little off, sometimes I'll come in and like squeeze them. That straightens everybody up too. If they're misbehaving, get in there with your pliers. Don't ever discount your tools when it comes to your wire. They really can come in there and make things nice and tidy. Okay. So there's two, and there's no real reason why I'm working right to left. I have no idea why. You can start wherever you want to. If you want to start in the center, you can. It makes no difference, you guys. It doesn't matter. Okay. I'm in. Okay. Bend. Round nose pliers are coming in. Up and over. Rotate. Wire over. Take it off of the tool, okay, and just very carefully, just see how easily I slid those together. So because my wire is a 24 gauge wire and the wire that I'm using on my head pins is a really small gauge wire as well, I think it may also be 24 gauge. It doesn't snap. So if you're looking for that snap sound, you're probably not going to get it if you're using really thin gauge wire. A lot of times if I'm using a 22 gauge wire and something a little bit thicker, you get that really nice satisfaction. You get the satisfaction out of that little snapping sound. But not with this. You got to be gentle with your smaller gauged wires. It's funny the things that I find gratifying in jewelry making, and that little snapping sound is definitely one of them. All right, squeeze on the pliers just to straighten. Oh, sorry, you guys. All right, now I'm going to come in with my cutter tool and trim off. And if that little tail, see that little guy is sticking out, I don't like that. Nobody will ever notice it, but I will. So I'm just going to kind of squeeze it in to make sure that it doesn't further come undone. You don't want that to get wrapped around your hair or in your clothing. Nothing like that. There's nothing worse than having your favorite pair of earrings destroy a perfectly good hair day or a knit top. That is not fun. Or have a customer come back to the booth. Look at what your earring has done to my shirt. And then how do you handle that situation? All right, this is our middle bead. So we're going up and over. Bead ASMR, I love that. Kendall, you're so right. I should start a bead ASMR channel on YouTube. You know people would subscribe.
I would.
Colleen says she would. Okay. Grabbing that loop. Perfect job for these round nose, or I'm sorry, the bent chain nose pliers. Oops. Okay. Okay. Got 3 more to go. I know this part's kind of tedious, but it never hurts to see the wire wrapping if you're a beginner. It never hurts to see it over and over again. Okay. So I'm gonna trim. I try to get in there as close as I can with my cutter tool, and a sharp cutter tool is the key to that. If you've got a dull cutter tool, it doesn't matter how close you get, you're gonna have a little piece of wire left over. And that's okay. It just can be frustrating after a while, right? Okay. Another bead. Chain nose pliers, give them a bend. Coming in with my round nose. Up and over. Rotate and take the wire over to the other side. Okay, and I'm going to slide right in. And just kind of very gently just coax those two together. What was that, Albert?
That's Colleen.
Very, very, very dramatic dog.
Snore.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's funny because you guys can hear him panting, but you have no idea what he sounds like at night. So I have this app on my phone, and records at night because I have a tendency to talk in my sleep and I say the most crazy things, and the dogs are the only ones around to hear what I say. So I have started recording it with an app on my phone, and it picks up snoring. But guess whose snoring it picks up? It picks up Albert's snoring. I'm like, really? That's not even my snoring. That's the dog. So yeah, my app is tracking my dog's sleep habits and not mine. It's funny. Both dogs are very, very dramatic. Albert he's a heavy breather and he snores. And then Cooper he's the German Shepherd. Cooper, he huffs. You know, if he gets frustrated with something or if I'm not paying any attention to him, he huffs. And the kids have lovingly pointed out that I do the same thing. So I don't know if he does it because I do it or if I do it because he does it, but we both are very huffy, I guess.
He likes giving French kisses too.
Apparently, he likes to sit in Joan's lap.
Give me French kisses. Give you a lap dance.
That's funny. All right, so we've only got one more bead after this one. I'm going to trim off. Okay, so do you guys track your sleep with an app? Is that weird?
No, I track my husband's.
All right, last bead. Laurie says, folks even say that we look like our dogs at some point. If I start looking like I have a bicycle seat for a head, y'all are going to have to do something. Y'all are going to, because that's what Cooper's head looks like. It looks like a bicycle seat.
He and Albert have almost the same hair color.
That's true. Albert and I are pretty close in hair color. Pretty close. He's very red for a golden. All right, last loop. Okay. Take that. Oh gosh. Looks like that one got squished a little bit. That loop, maybe not. I don't know. That loop just looks a little short. Do you see it? That loop looks a little stubby compared to the other ones. What happened, guy? Come on. I don't know how that... Oh, well. When we add the bead, nobody will notice, right? Nobody will know. It's okay. All right. So, coming in with the bent chain nose pliers again. One last time. Okay. Kathleen doesn't like it when people whisper. I don't like it when people whistle. If somebody whistles, I seriously just want to take my shoe off and like whap them with it. I don't know why, but whistling drives me crazy, and I wish I hadn't have just said that in front of Joan.
I don't know how to whistle.
Okay, good. she can't whistle. It's all good. All good. All right, so there's all of our little beads. Now, those are all attached. Let's see, is this the front? It is the front. So we've got all of our beads attached. Now, again, you don't have to wire wrap yours directly. If it's particularly if you're new with wire, it may be kind of difficult for you to get in there with your fingers and feel like you're getting a good wrap and all of that. So do the wire wrap separately and just attach them with jump rings. I would just attach them with smaller jump rings. If you've got a 3 or 4 millimeter jump ring, I'd use that as your go-between just so that it doesn't add too much extra length to your dangles, because this is already a pretty big earring anyway. But that being said, if you need a smaller earring, you can make a smaller component, right? Because if you've got this tool in particular, you can make your component all the way up here. So you can make it pretty small and still get away with having the dangles and still have the same look, just a little bit smaller, okay? We've got one more little set to do, and that's right here at the top. We've got 3 jump rings connecting to one more bead. Now, if the earring is already way too long for you, you can leave this bead out and just attach your ear wire to your top jump ring, but I wanted to go ahead and bring that kind of these colors up here to the top. For one reason, I realized that they don't match. The colors of these beads don't particularly match, right? This turquoise is not found anywhere in these beads down here at all. Nowhere to be found. Kind of blue in here, but not. And so to kind of offset the fact that they don't match, I wanted to bring this color palette up here. So that was my reasoning for that, but it does add extra length to your design. So just remember, okay? Kara says, it's fun to listen to you and someone else in your craft room. I love that too. I like it too. It's cool that they're here. It makes me happy. I like it a lot. All right, so to do our last little bead, I'm going to use a head pin and, or I'm sorry, I'm using an eye pin. I lost my bead, so I had to grab for it. So I'm going to just put my bead down on an eye pin, okay? And the loop to that to attach when we have our jump rings, this loop on the bottom needs to be facing away from me, but the loop at the top needs to be facing towards me because of the way my ear wire opens. Okay, so just take all of that into consideration when you are going to make your loops. So I'm going to bend the wire and I'm going to do another wrapped loop here, coming in with the round nose pliers. We're going up and over, rotate, take the wire over, and I'm going to switch hands and wrap in that space. And you can see the wire of my eye pin is a little thicker than what we were using on the head pins. So a little stiffer to do the wraps with. Okay. Ari says, do you wear earlobe supports? Ari, my daughter's name is Ari. I love that name so much. What is yours short for? My daughter's name, we call her Ari, but it's short for Ariella. Is yours short for anything? Do you wear earlobe supports with the heavy earring like this? Well, you can, and that's really kind of just up to the individual wearer. This one surprisingly is not as heavy as you think it would be. These beads right here, they are very, very lightweight. And of course, these don't weigh much at all. It's not super, super heavy. I know it looks like it is, but it's really not. But you can. If it bothers you, like my mom, she can't, even the earrings that I say, oh, they're super lightweight, they bother her. And by the end of the day, her ears will be sore because they're too heavy. So you can, if you want to, there's no reason why you can't. I'm just curious. That's a really good question. I'm curious, those of you who sell earrings, do you guys sell the earlobe supports? Do you guys carry those for your customers? I've never carried them, but I have considered it because I have had customers ask me that. I just wonder if it's something worth, having stock of if you make jewelry for people. All right, so one jump ring on either one of these loops, and then I'm going to connect these two loops with one more jump ring. And before I go to close that jump ring, I'm going to go ahead and thread on the loop to the bottom of my little bead here, and then I'm going to close that back. Okay, and now I'm ready to add my ear wire to the top of that. So I'm just going to open that up. And hook that on. And I'm going to close that back. So the earlobe supports, guys, a lot of times they're heart-shaped and they go behind your ear to hold the earring up and down so it doesn't droop. Like if you've got, if you have an ear piercing that maybe has gotten torn, or, over time, if it's changed, it's no longer a hole and it's like, it's more like a little slit. The ear support goes behind the ear wire, is shaped like a heart. Some of them are round, but it just helps to hold the earring in place, and it takes some of the weight off of the front of the earring and distributes it to the back. All right, so there are earrings, you guys. Ta-da! And you can see, even though they may be off center, nobody can tell. Nobody is going to be able to notice that, right? Nobody will know when you got them hanging. With all the extra beads and everything else that's going on, I don't think anybody is going to notice that, that they're not quite even. So, all right. I am going to turn you guys around and try these on so you guys can see what they look like. Guys, if you recreate these or if you use any of these techniques in projects that you do later on, please tag me. I want to see. Oh, Stacia, it's okay. You get to see the finished results of what we did today. Aren't those fun? I love them. And they're really not super heavy, but now that's just me, right? Everybody's different, so they might be heavy. Aren't those fun? I can't decide if I want to put these in the shop or not, right? Anybody want these in the Etsy shop? You might have to fight me for them because they're super pretty. Aren't they cute?
Ooh, those are cute.
I like them a lot.
Well,
Really
I was
cool.
panting over them last night when I saw the picture.
They turned out really well. I almost didn't do this project because I was like, well...
Great job.
Thank you. I have an audience today.
Standing ovation.
Thank you so much. So, yeah. I almost didn't do this project because it is techniques we've done before, but you know, we're constantly building, and I have to always remind myself we have new people that are coming into the group every day. Did you guys know that the Sara Lovecraft Designs community just passed 2,000 members? 2,000! I remember, guys, the community has not been around. We started, what, in January?
Yeah, in January.
So what?
Maybe December, but I think it was January.
Yeah,
That's
something like
amazing.
that. Yeah, so we've grown to 2,000 people, like, in the blink of an eye.
Thank you guys so much.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yay, Sarah!
It's awesome. I couldn't do it without 2,000 of you all out there. So thank you so much for being a part of my community and coming and hanging out. Thank you to all of you who are part of my other Facebook groups as well. I enjoy this. And so I use that as my reminder when I'm looking at an earrings project or a project in general. And I'm like, we've already done something very similar. I have to remember we're getting new members every single day. There are new people, not just to the group, but are brand new to jewelry making. And it doesn't hurt those of us who have been doing this for a long time to refresh ourselves with some of the things that we built our creativity on, right? So, yeah. Tina says, come over and say hi. They want to see your faces.
No, I'm good.
Are you sure? Colleen won't. She's coming to hug. She's hugging the dog.
Yes.
There's Joan now.
Look, what would Dolly do?
Oh my gosh.
Damn it, where's the kiss when you need it?
Throw some beads at her. Oh gosh. All right, so that is it for our Tuesday, at least for now. Those of you who are in the Hardwired group, I will see you guys again at 4 p.m. this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for helping to build my community. It means so much to me. I could not do it without you. Literally, you are what make up those numbers. So I am so glad to have you guys. I will see you guys to either at 4 if you're in Hardwired, or I will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. with the Michael's class. Otherwise, I'll be here, regular scheduled program at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday with another fun project for you guys. Thank you guys. Bye. Have a good